Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Faik bin Hazani. Number metric is 061510. So today I would like to present you all about investigation of the backgrounds of a witness tazkiyatul syuhud, iaitu penyiasatan terhadap saksi, iaitu tazkiyatul syuhud di dalam chapter 4 berkenaan bab syahadah, iaitu kesaksian. So kita pergi kepada apa itu what about syahadah. Syahadah in the literal sense means new or information which is authentic speech which describe an event that was previously witnessed. There are also other ulama who gave the opinion that syahadah means being actually present and witnessing an event. Ini syahadah dalam erti literal bermaksud berita atau maklumat yang sahih, tidak diragukan, iaitu ucapan yang menggambarkan peristiwa yang pernah disaksikan sebelumnya. Ada juga ulama lain yang berpendapat bahawa syahadah bermaksud benar-benar hadir dalam dan menyaksikan sesuatu kejadian tersebut. And what about tazkiyatul syuhud? Tazkiyatul syuhud means the mode of inquiry adopted by a court to satisfy itself as to the credibility of a witness. Tazkiyatul syuhud bermaksud kaedah penyiasatan yang diguna pakai oleh mahkamah untuk memuaskan diri terhadap kredibiliti seorang saksi. Di tujuan tazkiyatul syuhud ini adalah untuk to avoid any suspicion and to reach the level of certainty, iaitu tujuan tazkiyatul syuhud adalah untuk mengelakkan sebarang syubhat dan mencapai tahap kepastian. Testimony may be accepted after being investigated and truth to be found. Nevertheless, they are only competent to give bayinah and not competent to give syahadah based on section 83 in bracket 3 of Syariah Court Evidence Federal Territories. Kesaksian boleh diterima selepas disiasat dan kebenaran ditemui. Namun begitu, mereka hanya berwibawa untuk memberi bayinah dan tidak berwibawa untuk memberi syahadah. Berdasarkan Seksyen 83 dalam kurungan 3 Akta Keterangan Mahkamah Syariah Wilayah-Wilayah Persekutuan. Jadi di sini saya sertakan dalil berkenaan tazkiyatul syuhud ini di dalam surah An-Nisa ayat 4 yang berbunyi, and those who accuse chaste women and then do not produce for witnesses, lash them with 80 lashes and do not accept from them testimony ever after, and those are the definitely disobedient, yang bermaksud dan orang-orang yang menuduh perempuan yang baik-baik kemudian tidak mendatangkan 4 orang saksi, maka sebatlah mereka dengan 80 sebatan dan janganlah kamu terima daripada mereka. Persaksikanlah persaksian selama-lamanya dan mereka itulah orang-orang yang fasik. Surah An-Nisa ayat 4. Di sini menunjukkan betapa pentingnya kehadiran saksi ini dalam memberikan kesaksian terhadap sesuatu permasalahan atau sesuatu kes. Jadi selepas ini rakan-rakan saya akan menerangkan condition tazkiyatul syuhud to making the syahadah valid, which will be discussed in this
Assalamualaikum
presentation.
warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Adam Al-Wafi bin Duhalim. Today I will explain 10 conditions of witness. The 10 condition is Islam, sound mind, baligh, just, good memory, beyond suspicion, good moral and honor, free from slavery and capable of speech and capable of seeing. I will explain 5 of them and the other 5 will explain by my friend, insyaAllah. Firstly is Islam. The ulama are opinion that being a Muslim is one of the conditions for a witness. This based on dalil Surah Al-Ma'idah ayat 106 and Surah Al-Baqarah ayat 282. The Quran states that the 2 just men of a woman should be chosen as a witness, and the testimony of non-Muslim against Muslim is rejected. However, if the testimony of non-Muslim with regard to will made by a Muslim during a journey, and if the evidence of non-Muslim against a Muslim is in time of emergency, and lastly, if the evidence of non-Muslim as against themselves, say ulama, they are allowed to be a witness against a Muslim. Secondly is sound mind. A person whose mind unsound cannot be a witness, as her does not know or understand giving evidence. Someone who is unsound of mind but later regain his sound memory and while giving testimony his memory is sound, is evident, is admissible. Thirdly is baligh. The ulama in their opinion say that baligh means age of majority should be a condition before someone can be a testimony and can be accepted his witness. There are three opinions: Maliki, Hanbali and Ibn Hamid. Maliki say that they accept the testimony of child for blood-related offence. The child, however, must be mumayyiz and they was present at the occasion and there was no other adult witnessing the event. And Hanbali say that they accept testimony of child in injury case on one condition, that the child testimony must be given before he or she leave the scene of the incident. Lastly, Ibn Hamid says that opinion that testimony child above the age of 10 will be accepted in all cases except for hudud and qisas. The fourthly is just mean adil. According to ulama, Islamic scholar, being a just necessary condition for being a witness and testimony to be accepted. However, there are some say a divergent opinion among the ulama regard to standard of justice required. Firstly, based on Imam Abu Hanifah say that justness required should be reasonable as befit an ordinary Muslim, and there are no blameworthy attribute on the person of the witness. Imam Shafi'i say that just mean of someone who stay away from emergency and have no tendency to commit a minor sins, possessing true faith and of calm disposition even in a taste of anger and able to protect his honor. Thirdly, Imam Hanbali and Imam Maliki say that justice is measurable by someone adherence to the decades of religion and the truth of his speech and conduct. According to Maliki, being just means protecting one religion in staying away from major sin and being vigilant with regard to minor sin, fulfilling trust and good social interaction. And lastly, the fifth, good memory and adab. Witness required to have a strong memory so as enable him to relate a correct testimony about a particular event that he had witnessed. This means that the evidence of someone who is habitually absent-minded of weak remembers immeasurable. This is why the evidence of someone who have unsound mind and children are usually rejected. It's therefore clearly that his condition is designed to guarantee the quality of the witness, so the ensuing court decision would be just. That's all for me. The other 5 conditions will be explained by my friend, inshallah.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I will continue the next points related to the condition of witness. Right. Number 6 is beyond suspicion tuhmah. Tuhmah is suspicion due to good relations, the existence of individual interest, or suspicion due to bad relation with someone who is related to a particular case or judicial proceeding. Tuhmah may arise due to several causes. It may arise due to family relation, blood relation, due to marital ties, enmity of the existence of individual interest in the outcome of any particular dispute. Seorang yang mempunyai hubungan buruk dengan orang lain mempunyai kepentingan dalam satu perselisihan, tidak boleh menjadi saksi terhadap orang lain itu. Ini merupakan pendapat majlis ulama lah. Imam Abu Hanifah menekankan tentang keadilan saksi itu sendiri. Beliau menyatakan bahawa sekiranya saksi itu adil, persoalan tuhmah tidak akan diambil kira. Number 7 is of good morals and honor. Witness should be someone who is trustworthy and of good character, so that his testimony can be accepted. There are some ulama who include the condition of praiseworthy character as an aspect of dalil. They stressed that a witness should possess excellent character and good morals. They gave example of unworthy character such as eating in public, walking without covering one's head, hugging one's wife in public, joking, playing chess and others. Someone have a good attitude ataupun haruslah mempunyai akhlak yang baik. Alright, next point number 8, free from slavery. As a general rules, the testimony of a slave shall not be accepted. This is majority views. As regard this, dalam Al-Quran surah An-Nahl dalam ayat 75, Allah melarang hamba menjadi saksi kerana di bawah jagaannya adalah tuannya. The Zaydis on the other hand accept the testimony of a witness. Their agreement is that a witness should be adil. As such, slavery is not a bar against giving evidence unless it has been specifically prohibited by Al-Quran, Sunnah or Ijma'. Next point is number 6, capable of speech. The ulama are again in divide in their views regard the testimony of a dumb person. Imam Malik and Shafi'i maintains that the testimony of a dumb person is admissible so long as his gestures are understandable. The Hanbali reject the testimony of a dumb person. Their tendency of contemporary ulama is to accept the testimony of the dumb on the basis of necessity because there are not other witness present jika ia memerlukan. The last point is capable of seeing. Imam Abu Hanifah reject the testimony of the blind, manakala Maliki, Syafi'i dan Hanbali however accept the evidence of the blind kecuali dalam kes hudud. Al-Shirazi have held the acceptance of the testimony of a blind person and dependent on things that he called here only and not things which depends on using contohnya witnessing a more robbery, zina dan sebagainya lah. In case such as the testimony of a blind person is inadmissible. Itu saja daripada saya. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Nama saya Muhammad Syazwan bin Alias, nombor matrik 060807. Jadi hari ini saya akan membincangkan tentang investigation of the background of a witness, tazkiyah, yang bermaksud penyiasatan tentang latar belakang seseorang saksi, tazkiyah. Sebagai pendahuluan, most of the ulama are of the opinion that the credibility of an unknown witness shall be investigated before his testimony could be accepted by the court. Syaz'an investigation is known as tazkiyah syuhud. Kebanyakan ulama berpendapat bahawa kredibiliti saksi yang tidak diketahui perlu disiasat sebelum keterangannya diterima oleh mahkamah dan ia dikenali sebagai tazkiyah syuhud. Tugas ini akan digalaskan oleh muzaki. Muzaki will be appointed by a judge who will see that such a person shall be an honest person. Muzaki akan dilantik pula oleh hakim yang akan melihat seseorang saksi itu supaya dipastikan seseorang yang jujur, supaya dia tidak dipengaruhi oleh harta maupun wang ringgit, dan dia mestilah mempunyai tingkah laku yang bagus dan mudah memberikan kerjasama dalam menjalankan siasatan. Investigation latar belakang saksi boleh dilakukan pada dua cara, iaitu discreet investigation atau open investigation. Jadi saya akan membincangkan tentang discreet investigation. A discreet investigation can be necessary when you need information to assess the credibility of witness. It may conclude secretly and out of the judicial proceedings. A discreet investigation ni amat sesuai digunakan apabila anda memerlukan maklumat untuk menilai kredibiliti seorang saksi. Ia bermaksud melakukan penyiasatan secara rahsia dan di luar prosiding kehakiman. In such an investigation, the judge will write to the muzaki asking for a report on a certain witness so as to ascertain his credibility before the court. Jadi hakim akan meminta kepada muzaki untuk menulis laporan mengenai saksi tertentu untuk memastikan kredibilitinya di hadapan mahkamah. Jadi if the witness is an ideal witness, the muzaki will indicate in his report that he is just and his testimony can be accepted. Jika saksi itu adalah saksi yang adil, muzaki akan menunjukkan dalam laporannya bahawa dia adil dan keterangannya boleh diterima. Apabila berlaku sebaliknya, seperti saksi tidak adil, muzaki akan menulis bahawa Allah lebih mengetahui atau dia enggan mengemukakan laporan tersebut. If the muzaki have no information on whether or not the witness is just or unjust, his report will say that there is no information available on this witness. Jika muzaki tidak mempunyai apa-apa maklumat sama ada saksi itu adil atau tidak, laporannya akan mengatakan bahawa tiada maklumat tersedia mengenai saksi ini. When a judge is required to reject the testimony of a witness, it is commendable for him to say that I need further testimony from other witnesses. Apabila hakim dikehendaki menolak keterangan saksi, seeloknya hakim berkata, saya memerlukan keterangan lanjut daripada saksi lain, daripada berkata saksi ini tidak layak untuk mengemukakan bukti kerana terdapat beberapa kecacatan. Oleh itu, jelas bahawa discreet investigation, bahawa satu penyiasatan yang dilakukan secara rahsia dan selalu digunakan apabila muzaki mahukan maklumat yang lebih mendalam. Sekian daripada saya. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Syafiq bin Harmi and my number matric is 061698. Alright, today I will talk about the open investigation. First of all, we see at the literature review, an open investigation can be conducted in an open court attendantly by the muzaki and the witnesses. The judge will ask the muzaki whether or not the testimonies of the witnesses can be accepted by the rejected, and the muzaki will give his answer accordingly. If a witness is ideal, the muzaki will say that I certify this man justness, and will point out the witness in the court. Afterward, the muzaki will say that I swear that he just acceptable witness, such as the word uttered by the muzaki will refer to three things. Jadi apa yang kita faham di sini adalah yang pertamanya, open investigation, iaitu siasatan terbuka ini dia dijalankan di dalam mahkamah yang terbuka yang boleh dihadiri oleh muzaki dan juga saksi. Baik, hakim akan bertanya, pada mudahnya hakim akan bertanya kepada muzaki sama ada keterangan saksi ini boleh diterima ataupun tidak. Dan jika diterima, maka muzaki akan berkata, saya memperakui keadilan saksi ini. Dan dia akan menunjukkan saksi itu ke mahkamah. Jadi selepas itu muzaki akan berkata, saya bersumpah bahawa saksi ini adil dan boleh diterima. Maknanya muzaki itu perlu bersumpah dan menyatakan bahawa saksi itu adalah seorang yang adil. Oleh yang demikian, perkataan yang diucapkan oleh muzaki itu merujuk kepada tiga perkara. Baik, alright, next we go at the division of the muzaki. The first is that his statement is in itself a testimony, yang bermakna bahawa kenyataannya itu sendiri adalah satu kesaksian. The secondly is it is indication of the justness of the witness. Yang kedua adalah ia adalah petunjuk tentang keadilan seorang saksi. And the last one is approval of the testimony of the witness, which is yang bermaksud kelulusan keterangan saksi. Jadi ketiga-tiga ini merujuk kepada kenyataan yang dikeluarkan oleh muzaki untuk menerangkan tentang keadilan seseorang saksi itu. Jadi apa yang dikatakan oleh muzaki itu adalah jelas dan merujuk kepada saksi yang dinyatakan. Jadi itu antara open investigation yang dapat saya sampaikan. Saya serahkan, I will return to my friend to continue about our presentation. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. My name is Muhammad Al-Imam bin Zaidi. So today I would like to explain about the required number of muzaki. So in the open investigation that I can say from the research, unanimous of ulama or ijma ulama said that there is more one muzaki that should be there if someone is involved into investigation. But there is khilaf baina al-Syafi'iyah, mazhab Syafi'i dan mazhab Maliki dan Abu Hanafi. Those among the ulama from Hanafi and Abu Maliki said that single muzaki is sufficient, but in Shafi'i said that two muzaki are required, as the investigation itself it is similar to a testimony. That khilaf bainal ulama, but the enemies that ijma is the required is more one muzaki. So thank you. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So we welcome back to our presentation, and this is last to conclude from this investigation of the background of the witness, important because there are many consequences if the court does not first make a research on a person testimony before being brought into the trial proceeding. And I think that Islamic law require that anyone who wants to give testimony to be honest and truthworthy in the evidence given. So jika tiada penyiasatan di belakang ataupun di sebalik kita memberi keterangan kepada saksi ini, maka kemungkinan saksi ini akan menipu, akan mendatangkan perkara-perkara yang tidak sahih, akan mendatangkan keburukan kepada prosedur mahkamah itu. Jadi sangat penting untuk kita mengetahui, kita menyiasat terlebih dahulu, tabayun terlebih dahulu, melihat terlebih dahulu satu persatu siapakah saksi ataupun witness yang kita tampilkan di hadapan mahkamah. Maka perkara ini sangat penting supaya tidak ada mana-mana pihak yang tercara. Sepatutnya hak yang ditegakkan bukan batil yang ditegakkan. Maka batil itu sepatutnya ditenggelamkan dan hak itu patut ditegakkan. Jadi wallahu a'lam. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.